Over the years, we saw Apple making a lot of controversial decisions, and almost every time Samsung was there to criticize. The first major example goes back to 2016, when Apple wasn't on its best position. The iPhone 6 and 6S had both a major scandal, the bendgate and touch issues. Apple at that time was under two immense pressure, from its audience first to innovate, and from investors second to make more profit. So at that same year, Apple introduced the iPhone 7, and for the first time in the smartphone history, a phone without a headphone jack. Everyone was furious at that time, and Apple became the main target of every internet critic. Samsung eventually saw the chance and didn't want to miss it. But before knowing what Samsung did, it's important to understand why Apple took this decision in first place. Apple actually gave three reasons for this removal: more internal storage for a larger battery, less openings for better water resistance, and lastly, the future is wireless, which is where the controversy starts. Apple at that same event of introducing the iPhone 7 introduced also its first AirPods, so the plan was clear: remove the headphone jack from the phone and push for expensive AirPods or annoying dongles. And remember that dongle part because we'll be back to it soon. Samsung eventually couldn't wait on this, and at that same year, Samsung launched the Ingenuous series, which was a long campaign that lasted around 3 years, and is very famous with the guy with a notch hairline. Here, Samsung literally roasted Apple for everything that Samsung will become years later. The roast was not just with ads, but also in public events, which was used as a marketing point for the upcoming Note 7.
Do you want to know what else it comes with? An audio jack. I'm just saying.
You know what else came with the Note 7? An explode. Samsung eventually was milking it so hard in the public, but deep inside, Samsung was watching closely. And to be fair, Apple's move was a big gamble, and if it failed, it could have damaged the entire iPhone lineup. But despite the backlash, Apple successfully survived. Everyone forgot about the dongle, and wireless earbuds became the normal. Once people started adopting, Samsung saw the opportunity, so it quietly removed the headphone jack from all its models in 2019. And same as Apple, it introduced its own dongle and Galaxy earbuds.
But that's normal. It's evolution!
Well, we could say that, if Samsung gave a statement or even admitted they were wrong. But quietly removing all ads and series mocking Apple after doing the exact same thing they did, I don't think that was gonna pass easily. The irony is that the Note 7 event where Samsung mocked Apple for that decision came out as one of the biggest disasters in the smartphone history, and Apple at that time had the perfect chance to roast Samsung back. But Apple didn't respond at all. The same pattern was repeated again, but this time with a different feature, where in 2020, Apple was at the very peak of its power. But just a year before, Apple was shocked with its first profit drop in 17 years. iPhone sales were slowing worldwide, especially in China. But by the end of the year, Apple's stock jumped 80%, and profits returned. The only thing Apple needed at that time was a better way to manage and invest those profits. And with Fina Money, this becomes easier. Fina Money is a finance startup that literally shows you where your money goes. Subscriptions, spending, income, and even investments. Fina tracks it all. With just one click, you can connect all your accounts, and Fina does the rest. You can also customize everything the way you like, but if you are lazy like me, there's a full library of ready templates that you can use from. And the best part? You don't have to check it every day. You set the rules once, and Fina follows. I even spoke with the founder and got you a massive discount on any plan when using the Vongard code. So what are you waiting for? Fix your finances today using the link in description. And big thanks to Fina Money for sponsoring today's video. So as we said before, Apple was in a better position in 2020 than 2016. So at that same year, Apple released 5 different models: the second generation of iPhone SE, the iPhone 12, 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, and finally, the 12 Mini, which many fans are still asking for its comeback, but sales say the opposite. At that same event of the iPhone 12 launch, Apple officially announced that the charger would no longer come in the iPhone box. Only the cable would remain, and that's to reduce waste and emissions caused by electronics. But this time, no one was ready to believe this nonsense. The greed was obvious, and the backfire was worldwide. Eventually, the real reason was cutting cost, upselling chargers, and making the box smaller. If you gave it a thought for a second, it's like a price increase. The same product for the same price, but with less inside the box. Samsung again couldn't wait on this. A chance to roast Apple for something that we will do later? Within hours, Samsung shared the same post on all its social media in multiple languages. We still include a charger. And if you're asking why in multiple languages, it's because the backlash was worldwide. And unlike the US, other countries have agencies that defend consumers' rights. So lawsuits started raining on Apple everywhere, and Samsung, as usual, positioned itself as a brand that cares about clients more than profits. A few months later, the results of Apple's decision started coming up. iPhone sales didn't drop. Users complained, then adapted, and buying chargers became the normal. Once people started forgetting, Samsung had its confirmation. Wait, still not subscribed? Come on, bro. All you have to do is follow the damn train! Like and subscribe. In 2021, and with no introductions, Samsung officially removed the charger from—
But
Let me finish first. Samsung officially removed the charger and headphones from the S21 box. Greedy move, but expected. But what's not expected is that Samsung didn't even give an explanation or excuses. The same company that mocked Apple publicly made the exact same move with no single explanation. What made fans angry is that Samsung quietly deleted every post that mocked Apple's decision, and later posted a statement that the removal was to reduce waste and that our users probably have chargers at home. That last statement is actually true, and to calm the public, Samsung lowered the price of its 25-watt charger from $35 to $19. But for record, not every copying case is necessarily bad. Sometimes you could copy an idea, but improve on it, and that's the same of what happened with the last two products, where in 2024, Samsung released the Galaxy Watch Ultra and Galaxy Buds 3. At first, they look normal and even cool, but once you place them next to an Apple Watch Ultra or Apple AirPods, and put a line under the Ultra, things becomes a bit suspicious.
Really, Samsung? When did Samsung become Apple?
What? Samsung copied us again, did they?
Now look, there have been many copies before, but this one is so far that it's hard to ignore.
This wasn't about features anymore, but the whole identity was copied to a level that made Samsung's own chairman very angry at the design division. On the performance side, both watch are actually amazing. The Apple Watch wins easily in the ecosystem and sensors, while Samsung counter it with a longer and better battery. For the earbuds, both of them are great. There are also some other incidents like the Face ID icon that Samsung copied from Apple and used it at its own event. But to be fair, we should agree that copying happens, and happens a lot in technology. Sometimes it's more of an imminent change than a company's choice. Samsung had always-on display feature on its Galaxy since 2016. Apple, on the other side, was resisting the idea, but ended up adopting it. The issue isn't copying, but about Samsung's attitude of roasting then following. But between us, Samsung ads are very funny, and we should make a video ranking them. But I hope I don't get backfired too, same as when I rated every Samsung Galaxy model. Let me know if I missed any other example. Subscribe and like, and thanks for watching.